Let's just say that it's a very much a part of this program. It needs to be disassembled, but before you can disassemble it, you have to be aware that it exists and how it's affected. It's like a cancer. When it's interpreted in that way, it's a cancer. Aloha. Once again, apologies for the wind that this microphone might pick up. This is the only shady spot. Today I wanted to speak on, I actually really don't know. I just know the last few videos that I put out were pretty intense, and there was a lot of information that was kind of all over the place, but I kind of wanted to bring it all together to speak on, you know, how the whole flat earth community is being pieced together, and how things are looking pretty much, and how it just looks to me, and how, you know, this story is not limited to, especially, okay, in reference to that whole math powerland stuff and the billboard, you know, how I see all this stuff is like, cool, the billboard's good, but the billboard is actually like a good metaphor or analogy for the entire flat earth mentality. Flat earth itself is just a billboard. Flat earth it's like like Alan Watts was saying in the last video, it's at best, it's a medicine. It's not a diet. It's a doorway to walk into yourself pretty much. So the biggest thing that I see coming out of flat earth is, or probably one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing, is the ability to find a meaning and a purpose in your existence. Like, when the Big Bang is presented to you, when gravity as the reason why you exist, the reason why your so-called planet exists, the reason why all of these things are pieced together. Like, look at all the detail in the life forms here. Look at all the detail in your personality, in your children, in your experience as a whole. The mainstream scientism community says that just happened on accident. Gravity to this day is still a theory. No matter how much you're convinced that, oh, you call that a theory? I just saw it drop. There's your proof of gravity. If you believe if that's your proof, then that's literally the only thing that they have for the answer to the biggest questions of your universe. Your universe is kept together, held together by some asshole getting on the stage and saying, oh, and by the way, this is gravity. Oh, snap, I just punked you. Like, this is childish. It's extremely childish. This whole idea of what? This whole idea of heliocentrism and scientism. It's a game, and that's why flat earth is such a threat to the so-called powers that be, because they exist, they maintain their power based upon complexity, bombardment, distraction. They make your illusions extremely complex. The theory of gravity, the theory of relativity, the light speed, the infinite universe, the planets, the way they exist, the $50 million a day that goes into NASA, which is $19 billion a year. You believe it, just like you believe celebrities who have a lot of money and then they get on TV, or activists who get on TV and they're paid a lot. They get to go on the Young Turks and speak to people like Alex Jones, or they speak to the mainstream media. Money is what runs your idea of truth. Money is one of the main mechanisms that maintains the illusion of authority over humanity. Money is a system. The fiat currency system as a whole is a system that maintains your lack of humanity. So as long as you are giving your power away to a theory, the theory that money, the democratic capitalistic system the way it is today, is the best ever, is only backed up by the monkey evolution program. Just as much as you believe that Neil deGrasse Tyson is the smartest person in the heliocentric universe to explain to you through astrophysics and theoretical physics and quantum mechanics why you exist, which he says is pretty much just on accident. Gravity brought together a ball and dinosaurs and monkeys and then you, and then, go to work. Congratulations. Now it's up to us, the smartest monkeys in the universe, to see if we can go to the moon. Oops, we lost all the equipment to get to the moon. What the? If you lost anything, if you lost your walkie-talkie working at Home Depot, you'd have to pay for that shit. If you lost anything, you're accountable for that. But these so-called powers that be have zero accountability. They have zero accountability for their work. They have zero accountability for their actions. They have zero accountability because the system itself, this is a pirate system. I was just talking about this to my friend the other day. We were talking about like the warrior spirit and this pirate system that pretty much just evolved itself into a polite pirate, a soft pirate. Like back in the day, they were literally cutting people's, they're still cutting people's hands off today. They're still cutting people's, heads off and doing all of this nonsense to maintain their illusion of authority. A lot of this stuff goes back to your resources. Why do people rob people for money and all this other stuff? At the end of the day, when you narrow it all down, they need to eat, and they need to drink, and they need to, take care of their kids. I saw a video the other day where a guy, got into the back of a car and was trying to rob this lady. And she told him straight up, look, I'm just like you, man. I ain't got no money. Like, what you gonna rob? What you could? Ain't nothing for you to take. And then he ended up just like letting her go. Like, this is why this system is inhumane. And this is why I was saying this is kind of like the premise to this entire video, which is like, do you know your enemies? Like, I was talking to my friend the other day, we were talking about like the warrior mentality and this whole thing, but I'm like, if you don't know your enemy, you're never going to you're going to have no chance in a war. People who talk about the spiritual war, the psychological war, and the physical warfare that's going on. If you don't know your enemy, you are not a part of a war. If you don't know the depths that this system will go and has already gone to distract you from that which needs to be recognized and paid attention to, then you're not in a war. You're in a video game. You're thinking that I'm doing this and you ain't doing shit if you don't know who your enemy is, who or what your enemy is. Because they say who in reference to how that enemy manifests into the materialistic realm. But we're not, when you get into the spiritual and the psychological warfare, we're not talking about actual people. We're talking about energies, that parasitic, non-physical energies that live off of you, the spirit of the individuals, the spirit of the people who do not give one shit about you or your children or your great-grandchildren. If your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, if the generations that aren't even born yet do not have a life, if they don't have a chance at making a living, meaning if this system continues as it is, because the generations that are alive today didn't do anything about it and didn't know their enemies and didn't realize that this is not only a physical and a psychological but a spiritual war, if you do not stand up and make notice that this system is based upon humanity and lives off of the death and destruction, the blood and the bones of the human spirit, if you do not realize that the generations before that coming up next, these kids, if you don't do anything for them right now, you're not alive. You're dead. If your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids don't have a chance at living, then you're dead right now. Why the hell are you doing whatever it is you're doing? This is that nearsighted, short-sighted mentality that many generations before us have just accepted and said, oh, well, things are getting better, so good thing. Well, what are you basing your things are getting better on? What are you basing that movement on? A lot of people base that movement on politics. Some people base it on their observation of humanity getting in touch with nature. These are all one-sided at best. Like, politics is really just a double back, like a double illusion. Watching politics as if that is what's actually going to shift the human condition is an illusion within an illusion. And even observing like the relationship that humanity has with nature is just one side of the reality, because that's the idea of so-called positive movement. But it's only on the creative side. When you reconnect with spirit, when you reconnect with your soul and nature and the experience overall, that is part of your creative intelligence. That is part of healing. Yes, it is needed. Yes, I am thankful for all the people who are speaking in reference to the things that need to change, the system that needs to be adjusted. I am very thankful for these people who helped me get to realize what it is I need to do to stop fighting myself, to stop destroying myself. Like, religion does this for a lot of people, but like the last video was talking about, Alan Watts was talking about, all of those things, including stuff like meditation, these are medicines. They are not diets. Once you get into the realization that you need to shift your diet, not only your physical diet, your psychological diet, and your spiritual diet. This is the diet, meaning that every moment of your existence, every thought, every little atom in your reality is part of your diet. What are you eating every day? What thoughts are you eating every day? And what are you feeding your children? What kind of diet are you feeding to your children? Are you feeding them a disempowered perspective that is just going to accept whatever the so-called powers that be, that's going to limit itself to whatever the political system says, whatever your city council members say, your mayors and your governors do? You already know they don't give a shit about you. This goes all the way up to your so-called national powers. And if you understand, this is why the flat earth information is so crucial and such a threat to the system. If you understand that they will lie to you about the very nature of the place that you live in, then you will realize that all of these other lies are minute. Every other lie is just minute in comparison, and it's just another part of the foundation to keep this system, the bigger lies, afloat. Like I was talking to my friend the other day. This system is like a Victorian house that it's old now, and the foundation just keeps getting rebuilt But the foundation is built on top of a termite mound, and these termites are basically parasites. But like, this system needs to be exposed. It needs to die. In order for a true creation, a true building to occur, the old system needs to die. So if you're trying to repair this old, broken, Victorian, haunted house, then you are actually worse than the so-called enemies that are in your face, because you are extending, you are making the movement slower. Like we were talking the other day, I am actually more glad. I'm glad that Donald Trump is the president instead of Bernie Sanders. Why? Because Donald Trump is actually the face of the beginning, just the beginning of how broken this system is. Because it's not about the system only. That's just 1/4 of it at best. The system, the internal systems of the individuals, is actually what is the deeper broken pieces to this experience. And if we do not recognize that it's the people that are broken that allow this authority system to evolve and grow itself into stuff like SpaceX and NASA and Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about astrophysics. These are all theoretical physicists. Everything that you see within the scientism community is theoretical. Their authority is theoretical. The entire way humanity existing today is a theoretical interpretation of how things are supposed to be. The theory of evolution, the theory of gravity, the theory of relativity, the Big Bang theory, these are all theories. And if you fall for the magic spell of a theory, and like Alan Watts said in the last video, then you deserve exactly what you asked for. You deserve that magic trick. You deserve whatever it is that you get from giving your power away. That's not to say that, like all the horrible stuff that happens to people. I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is that this experience is more complex. Your soul and your physical and your non-physical experience is more complex than, especially more complex than the scientism community is explaining to you. But it's way more complex than good or bad, like good and evil. It's when you go down to it, like when you find your meaning and purpose in this experience, you start to see that you yourself are more complex, and the system of the scientism theoretical universe is based upon selling you the simplicity of capitalism and democracy, so-called democracy, while keeping you dormant in the universal experience, your meaning and your purpose on the non-physical layer, on the soul layer, by telling you that you live in an infinite, expansive universe of nothingness. You have no meaning. You have no purpose. There is no reason for you to be existing. There is no reason for you to be questioning your reality. So just shut your mouth and let the smartest monkeys do whatever it is that they're going to do and go back to work. So individuals who are claiming to be the leaders of the flat earth community, the first people who spoke about, please give that shit up. That is the most narcissistic ass perspective you can ever imagine, to take pride in something like that. It's the definition of narcissism. I don't give a shit what you're how if you're going full throttle saying that you discovered this, or even if you're just like, well, we only need to focus on the earth and this and that, and both are the same. When you narrow it down and you expand it to the generations that are coming to be, like I said, if your grandchildren are not alive, if they don't have a chance at challenging this experience, then you're not at war. And ultimately, you are dead. If your grandchildren are already dead, then you're dead. You're not alive. This making a living is not being alive. It's the undead. And that's what this entire system wants to convince you to be, to lock yourself in. They lock you into the materialistic plane of experience. That's step one. The next step is to lock you into the illusions or the theories within that materialistic plane of existence, which the first part makes gods out of themselves. The second part makes kings out of the people who gave you those illusions. So these magicians and pirates are convincing you that you have no meaning and no purpose. They know the meaning and purpose at the essence. They know the meaning and purpose of this entire experience, this realm. They know. And if they don't know to the this is what all these secret societies are and all that other bullshit. It's not as complex and flashy as all these conspiracy videos and all this creepy music. This all the Illuminati. What are they doing? What's gonna happen next? What is the secret society? Like all that stuff. That's just a show to make the experience, make the magic trick more believable to you, because you lock yourself into fear. That's basically what it is. You don't challenge the experience because you're too fearful. And just like you have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye out there speaking for you in the scientism religion community as far as forward progress in that theoretical universe, the same thing happens in the New Age. The New Age community has people like David Wilcock, Corey Goode, that Cobra fellow, whoever it is. You never see any of these people. These are just people, just making up stories for you to believe in, just like ancient aliens. You can see how all of this it's a web of theoretical observation of your reality. And if you do not empower yourself from the inside out, and you continue to be duped by storytellers, by magicians, by pirates, then, like Alan Watts said, that's what you deserve. Because if you deserved something more than that, then you would challenge that system and you would break those codes. But obviously your consciousness, and it sounds a little extreme or intense, but ultimately your consciousness, if somebody's going to dupe you, and you allow them to dupe you, like hustlers and pimps and hoes and all that other shit, the thing is that experience is it's amplified in our reality to be the only way to be. The only way you can have your human resources are locked up in the monetary system. Oh, this is uncomfortable. Oh, hopefully the thing stays there. I'm sitting on a tree branch right now. The monetary system outweighs humanity. First and foremost, something's wrong with that. The way poverty is right now, homelessness across the earth plane, the human resources being filtered. What really matters? Like, if people think the earth is flat or a globe, or what is a result of people thinking the earth is a globe? That's where I'm coming from on this channel. What's more important? It's not to say that the flat earth model doesn't matter. In fact, it's going beyond that. It's to saying, what is the result? What are the results of being lied to about the very nature of your universe? What I'm saying is that part of it is the disempowerment of your challenging this system, the disempowerment of you having no meaning and purpose in your reality, the disempowerment of not being connected to your children, to your future generations, and your responsibility to those future generations. I was out having breakfast the other day and I saw this big family, reminded me of my family, sitting down eating breakfast, and the kid had noise canceling earphones on, watching a movie or a video game or something like that the whole time. And I was thinking to myself, like, what happens to a child if you raise that child and you don't speak to that child for their entire life? 18 years, you don't express words to them. What happens if the only thing you do is give them food and water, like a dog or something, and less than a dog, because you speak to a dog? But what happens if you don't speak to a child? You don't engage with it. So they basically stay in their room their entire lives. And you keep them in a crib and you don't speak to them or whatever. These giant wasps flying around. If you don't speak to your child, what happens? Okay, you know that's going to have some psychological and spiritual effects on them. Now, multiply that times, jeez, thing is loud. Multiply that times, or actually, you'd be like dividing it, like shrink it down to hours lost communicating with your child because of the noise canceling headphones, video games, television, social media, so on and so forth. Because it's not just the kids playing these games. You got the adults, the actual parents playing these games on social media and all that other stuff now. And you know what kind of effect that's going to have on the child to the extreme if they don't speak to them. Now cut it in half. What's the difference? It's going to have the same effect, just a lower intensity. But it will have an effect. You don't think that's on purpose? That's being manipulated by the system. They want you to separate yourself from your children. Because once you separate yourself from, you break down the family, then you break down the tribe. You break down the tribe, you break down the culture. You break down the culture, you break down the entire community and the nation. You break down the nation, you break down the entire human experience. And once they are broken down and disempowered, then you got them by the balls pretty much. You can do whatever you want. You can program whatever they want, whatever they want to. They can tell you that your universe is an infinite expanse of nothingness and everything happened on an accident. And gravity is pretty much your God because gravity made your ball planet. Gravity made it brought together your elements to make dinosaurs, then monkeys, then you. You don't even understand what the human experience is because you're basing your human experience on the consciousness of the animal kingdom. We are basically locked into the animal consciousness when you believe yourself into the monkey evolution program. This is how deep this goes into the disempowerment of yourself and your future generations. If we do not address the fact that the human experience is far deeper than the monkey evolution program. The human experience has more potential than the limitations of the animal kingdom. This is not to say that there's no relationships between the animal kingdom and the human experience. This physical reality is basically, it has a general relationship to the animal relationships that are going on. Like you can see the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark. You can see the like food. Animals eat food, drink water, have some kind of relationships. They reproduce. This is all basic. But the human experience, the collective, the creative and destructive intelligence and the relationship and the potential of humanity goes far beyond just reproduction, far beyond eating food and water and, building a Victorian home on a termite mound. You constantly build a home on a Victorian mound and just keep remodeling that Victorian home. When the foundation is broken, it's dead. That is the infinite of destruction. It's destructive infinity, pretty much. And the remodelers are the people or the energies that make a profit off of you falling subject to that experience, to those magic spells, to those theories. These are remodelers, pirate remodelers who make money off of selling you the idea of truth that you need to consistently build your home, first of all, out of materials that are susceptible to termites. Because you have the potential to build a shelter that is not even susceptible to termites, first of all. then you have the potential to not build that home on top of a termite mound and to grow beyond that. What's beyond that? Because that's just an observation of the materialistic realm. That's not even going into the non-physical reality. That's not even going into, the relationships and the connections that you see when you're in states of like psychedelics. And in reference to that, like I was saying in the last video with the images, is that even psychedelics, even cannabis, these are tools. These are doorways. They are not ways of life. If you continue to utilize these tools as the end-all be-all, you will max out your experience based upon the level of consciousness of that tool. Politics is a tool. If you think your experience is based on politics, then you will get what you ask for, and you deserve what you ask for because you haven't challenged yourself to go beyond that. Same goes with scientism. Same goes with the New Age community. Same goes with the Black conscious community, the whole Pan-African movement, and thinking that it's all about Africa when the melanated people were all across the earth plane and in the Americas before anything. So you're not only from Africa. If you believe you limit yourself to that, then you're limiting yourself to that reality. And whoever is standing in your face and telling you, I am your leader, I am the one who is in the know of all this information, and they make a profit off of your ignorance, then you paid them. You paid for those seminars. You paid for that. You paid for that school, pretty much. You're going to get, if some ignorant asshole wants to tell you that he's going to build a school for you and you need to give him $10 million to build this school, you give him that school, and then your kids go to that school and become ignorant assholes, then you deserve to have ignorant asshole ass kids. Because you, who have the responsibility, first and foremost, as the caretaker of your future generations, is your responsibility, not anybody else's. So if a pirate stands up in front of you, no matter if they're dressed in gold or the most humble looking whatever, if they tell you they have more power over you, if they tell you that they have the ability to do something for you, you're still externalizing your reality. You're still giving your power away. This is exactly what Neil deGrasse Tyson does. This is exactly what people in the New Age community do. They want you to focus on the alien agenda. Because there's a profit in the whole giving your power away to something outside of you. There's a profit to giving your power away to disempowering conscious beings. Not everybody needs to be sitting on the corner waving a flat earth flag. A lot of other people have a potential to think beyond the limitations of the tool, the mechanism that gets you to the next step. Are you that individual? You won't know if you're constantly just giving your power away, or your thought process to narcissists who just keep you thinking that it's all about who was first and all this other nonsense. That is so far removed from everything. So what's next is my question. And who's responsible for what's next? Who's responsible for thinking outside of the boxes that these pirates have kept people in for so long? Whose responsibility is it for your future generations? Because if it's not your own, then your future generations, your grandchildren are already dead. They're dead. And if they're dead, you're not alive. You're just having a dream right now. You're in an illusion, thinking you're alive. might be all fun and games now, but you're actually repeating the process that the system uses to make a profit off of your ignorance. So you're actually profiting right now. You're profiting off of your own ignorance. You're profiting off of the resources and the potential of your future generations when you don't say anything to the umpteenth degree and you don't do anything right now while you can. Your great-grandchildren, your children's 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 children will be a reflection of who it is you are right now and what it is that you did and what you didn't do right now in this experience. And if you walk around thinking you're alive as a zombie, then that will be the foundation that you are creating for them. And they're basically the undead, just like you are right now. So I hate to close it out on like such a somber note. But I guess that's what the desert is really all about. It's just dry out here. It's dead. It's alive. It's alive in a lot of sense because it like challenges you to be alive. If you can be alive in the desert, then you're actually one of the most lively individuals. That's like the test of the desert. That's what you learn from being in the desert. Resilience. Strength to make something out of nothing. But if you dig deep enough, you will find a well of water. You will find some shade. You will find some kind of food to eat. And your experience will adjust based upon your ability, your drive itself. But if you have no drive, then you won't push it. If you give your power away to New Age people, if you give your power away to more theories, another theoretical universe, the alien agenda is just another theoretical universe built on the old theoretical universe, which was a lie in the first place. And ultimately, this is not about being white or black or any of that other stuff. That's basically just like a subcategory to... It's just a subcategory to the mind control program of the materialistic realm. That's not to say that it doesn't matter, that it's not part of this program. That's to say that it's a very much a part of this program. It needs to be disassembled, but before you can disassemble it, you have to be aware that it exists and how it's affected. It's like a cancer. When it's interpreted in that way, it's a cancer. And if you try to act like the cancer is not a problem, this is not about black and white. The Jews did everything. It's like, what the hell? Like, just finding a bad guy is not going to heal the system itself. In fact, the bad guy mentality is more of a clue that this system needs to be seen for what it is. Because it's trying to hide something. If it's trying to hide something, then you have to realize that what is it trying to hide? And how does it affect us? And what is it trying to sell into the next program? The big reason why I talk about race a lot is because, well, not even a lot. Believe me, I'm holding back. When I don't, I'm really holding back on speaking in reference to, that whole agenda. Mostly because I feel that the majority of people are already aware of this mind control program and have the potential to think and observe beyond. It's hot out here, so you're like, why is he breathing so hard? It's hot. It's coming up to like probably 100 or something like that. Anyway, yeah. This is not about any color or race or anything like that. Ultimately, that's a part of it. But this is about life and death. Not your life and death like right now in a revolution between the good guys and the bad guys. No, this system is not going to just magically change. The system is not going to magically become a wonderful place. It's going to happen over time based upon the ability of the people to question their reality and see how far this goes. Like I said in previous videos, the system bases its move off the consciousness of the individual. And the consciousness of the individual is based upon the programming that that individual has adopted into their reality, and how much of that programming they have passed down to their children. How much of that programming and those magic spells have they told their children is their reality? Because if they pass that theoretical universe down to their children, now you have sovereign, limitless, ultimately, from the non-physical perspective, from thought, you have these sovereign beings who are limiting themselves to a dead universe. This is what these dead planets are. This is what this dead fiat currency system is. Everything is dead. Because you can make a profit off of death. You can't make a profit off of life. Everybody is alive. But you make a profit off of fear. Life is empowering when you know the depths of it. You can trick ignorant people. You can sell ignorant people a ketchup popsicle, like you said, ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. You can sell garbage, which is what's happening today. You can sell people garbage, and they'll buy it with interest rate, with a high interest rate. But if you empower people, you can't sell them anything. And that's what I'm saying in like most of these videos. We have to start figuring out what our potential is outside of these programs that are already dead, largely. Politics, capitalism, democracy, these are all side effects to a disempowered humanity, to an ignorant individual, to an ignorant, powerless, monkey mind programmed human being. If we continue to send that program down to our children, these laws and regulations, you're basically giving more power away to the tricksters, the scavengers. You hear that crow in the background. You're giving your power away to people who make their money off of selling you garbage. So, is this about race? Yes and no. Because we're more complex than this. We're more complex. The system that's in place is more complex than this. And if we limit ourselves to the simplistic version of the story, then you're going to miss out. And whose fault is that? Yours. and every generation before you. Is it your kids' fault? No. And in fact, it's not even your generations before you, because they had their own shit to deal with. You can put the blame, you can find blame in anybody, in anything, in any time, in any way. Is it going to matter? No. Why? Because you're the one that's alive right now. You're the one that's responsible to do something about what's going on right now. Then you have the individuals like say, well, we just need to let everything be. Well, that's good for creation because you're clear-headed, but you're not just built up of a creative intelligence. You're built up of a destructive intelligence, the light and the dark. And you cannot have the depths of a creative foundation or experience until you first destroy the foundation that is not allowing you to be the best of who it is that you could be. And you empower yourself. This is just an example of how you can. I do it myself. This is just an example. You can empower yourself from the action, the focus of the masculine energy by figuring out that you do have a responsibility. And then you activate that responsibility with the reality from the feminine energy, the protective energy of your children, for your children. You empower yourself by saying, who else is going to do this? Who else is responsible for this? These are my children. Your children are, my children, my uncle's children. Everybody's children is everybody's children, because those children are buddies or the next beings who will be creating the reality of tomorrow. So from the earth mother energy, the divine feminine energy, which everybody has, man or woman, you have a responsibility to your great grandchildren to do something now, so they won't have to do it in their time. And if you don't do that, then what makes you any different from the individuals who are taking advantage of us today? That's the outline, that's the algorithm of the as above, so below, and the experience as it's presented to us. You might be comfortable now, but at what expense? So, until next time, from Modern Relations, peace, love, and harmony.